Flip video lesson. Today's lesson will go over chapter 21.3. And today we're going to talk about the Missouri Compromise, which is a fitting ending to where we left off from lesson 21.2, which ended, if you remember, with Missouri Territory wanting to come into the Union as a slave state. Now you may be wondering, what's the big deal about that? Other than the fact that, slavery is evil and wrong. Well, there was a huge problem with Missouri wanting to come in as a slave state. If you remember, the Northwest Ordinance said any state, one second here, north of the Ohio River was going to be free from slavery. This red line is the Ohio River. Northwest is a Missouri Territory. Technically, there should be no slavery allowed. However, the people in Missouri and the people down here wanted this territory, which would soon be a state, to allow slaves. To continue our review from 21.2, the other reason why having Missouri come in as a slave state would not be the best for the Union is that it would upset the balance between the slave states in Congress and the free states in Congress. If you remember, there were 22 states altogether. 11 of those states did not want slavery. They were the free states. 11 other states wanted slavery. As of right now, there was a balance in Congress, specifically in the Senate. Because remember, each state was allowed 2 senators. If there would become a 23rd state, that would upset that balance. Meaning there would potentially be 12 states that wanted slavery and 11 that didn't, which would give control of the Senate to those slave states, which could set a precedent of potentially allowing Congress the ability to allow slavery. Potentially. Now, how did Northerners feel about Missouri coming into the Union? Well, first off, led by Rufus King of New York, Northerners felt that Congress should have the power to prohibit or stop slavery in a new state, because it's Congress, right? Southerners, led by William Pinckney of Maryland, felt that the new states coming into the nation should have the same freedom as the original 13 states of America, which was to choose if they wanted to have slavery in their state or not. Now, there were a lot of overall feelings and fears, but these feelings and fears can be best summed up by John Henry Eaton writing to Andrew Jackson.
Mr. Jackson, it's me, John Henry Eaton. I'm writing to you about this Missouri problem. The agitation was indeed great, I assure you. Dissolution of the Union has become quite a familiar subject.
Looking bad, when suddenly in came Henry Clay, riding on his white horse to save the day. The great compromiser who helped Andrew Jackson out of so many problems was going to save the nation once again. And he was going to save it with what has become known as the Missouri Compromise. In 1820, to preserve the balance of power between slave and free states, a few things occurred. First off, Mr. Clay, with support from other people obviously, allowed Missouri to enter the Union as a slave state. Oh no! However, he did balance that power with allowing Maine to come in as a free state. Yippee! So Maine is up here, Missouri's down here. Now if you notice, Missouri is still above the Ohio River, which was supposed to be the boundary. But a new boundary would be made. Every state, and this was the next part of the compromise, every state in the Louisiana Territory, which was north of the 36 degrees, 30 latitude line would be a free state henceforth. Of course, Missouri would be the only exception. So here's that 36-30 line, and every state in the Louisiana Territory up here would be free. Everyone's happy! Well, northern states saw this as giving in to expanding slavery because, well, Missouri's allowed to be a slave state and they're north of the original line. The southern states saw this as Congress being able to come in and interfere with states' rights by saying, no, even if you want slavery, no way. About some more reactions to the Missouri Compromise. President Monroe, in his notes, wrote the following: "It would be better to adopt it than break the Union. No other person alluded to favors this, but to save the Union, believing it, the Union, to be in imminent danger." You see, even President Monroe knew that no one really liked the Missouri Compromise. No one was happy with it, but they had to take and apply the compromise if they were going to save the country from splitting apart. People knew it was going to save the Union, but there were people who were skeptical as to how long this compromise would actually hold the Union together. As Thomas Jefferson said to Mr. Holmes, "It is hushed indeed, for the moment, but this is a reprieve only, not a final sentence." I want to end this flip video with one more quote from Mr. Eaton, as he wrote to Andrew Jackson. And this quote really sums up what people were feeling about the Missouri Compromise, and maybe how people in the South, and North probably, should be feeling. "The compromise ended this unpleasant question. Of this the Southern people are complaining, but they ought not to, for it has preserved peace, dissipated angry feelings, and dispelled appearances which seemed dark and horrible and threatening to the interest and harmony of the nation." Mr. Eaton had it right. The people in the South shouldn't complain about the Missouri Compromise, and even the people in the North. And they shouldn't, because it was holding the country together. It kept the Union together. And without the compromise, as I think we can deduce from Mr. Eaton, the Union would have fallen apart. Thank you for watching this flip video. Make sure you go to Modo to answer the questions. And I'll see you in class.